I think so.
Are they all up there?
Yes, sir.
Good. It's not on there.
Mine?
Open those mics. All right.
Salut tout le monde, soyez le bienvenu au lycée Tda Academy qui vous offre des programmes éducatifs sur le français. Et ici, nous sommes sur Télé Radio. Hi everyone, you are welcome to Tda Academy, which offers you interesting lessons on Télé Radio. Avant de commencer, je vais commencer à me présenter. Je m'appelle Monsieur Kaunda, professeur de français au lycée Tda Academy. Nous allons parler sur le français aujourd'hui. We're going to talk about French. Our syllabus code, we have to understand our syllabus code. We are in the IGCSE 0520. Our topic will be on tenses today. Maintenant, avant que je puisse aller dans le détail de notre leçon, il faut vraiment vous rappeler quelque chose. We have to remember something. Respecter les protocoles COVID-19. Observe COVID-19 protocols. Lavez les mains. Wash your hands. Portez un masque. Mask yourself. Restez dans votre bulle. Stay in your bubble. Maintenant, nous allons voir le temps. These are tenses. Avant de commencer avec le temps, we go on to look at, attention, je m'excuse, je vais enlever le masque pour que ma voix soit bien comprise. Voilà, nous allons regarder sur les objectifs. Quels sont les objectifs de temps? Nous commençons avec notre première partie, là où nous voyons les objectifs. Je vais les lire en anglais. I'm going to read them in English. Use a variety of tenses in writing. Identify tenses used in passages. Use correct tenses to answer and ask questions. Identify tenses used in listening exams. Voilà, on commence avec le premier temps, which is le temps présent. Today we are going to look at 4 tenses. Le présent, comment utiliser le présent en français. Alors je lis. To form the present tense, we take the ending of the infinitive verb. Maintenant, quels sont les verbes là où on peut avoir les infinitifs? We have got jouer, which is ending in iara, finir, iara, vendre, rai. Those are the infinitives that we'll take out, and we're going to add special endings, les terminaisons du français e, es, e, ons, ez, ent. Par exemple, le verbe jouer, we are going to conjugate the verb to play. Je joue, tu joues, il joue, nous jouons, vous jouez, up to il joue. Ça veut dire, it means I play, you play, he plays, up to they play. Let's look at finir, which is to finish. So finir, it has got its own way of ending. It takes s, it, it takes e, is, son, s, and the issez, isseent. Alors nous allons conjuguer. How do we conjugate? Je finis, tu finis, il finit, nous finissons, vous finissez, ils finissent. That means I finish, you finish, up to they finish. And the other verb will be on rendre, which ends with r-e. We have an example of vendre. Vendre, ça veut dire, it means to sell. Je vends, tu vends, il vend, nous vendons, vous vendez, ils vendent, ça veut dire I sell, you sell, up to they sell. Let's go on to continue and look at some of the few examples that we have here. So we finish, we have used the nous and finir, and we can conjugate it nicely to say nous finissons. They sing, we can conjugate it as ils chantent. I speak, we can conjugate it as je parle. Ils choisissent, ils choisissent. They succeed, elles réussissent. Voilà, nous allons déjà à notre deuxième temps. We go to the second tense, which is the perfect tense. Ça, c'est le passé composé. Pour former le passé composé, vous utilisez l'auxiliaire avoir et l'auxiliaire être. To form the past tense, you have to use the verb to be and the verb to have. These are auxiliary verbs. They are the only auxiliary verbs that we do have in French. But in English, it is so simple. Okay? Now, there are some of the verbs that are going to use avoir. Some of them will be using être. This is why we have irregular verbs and regular verbs. Les verbes irréguliers et le verbe régulier. Voilà, nous conjuguons maintenant le verbe avoir. J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. That means I have. You can see the translation there in English in terms of this verb. Okay, let's continue to look at the next part where we are looking at the endings on how we can now combine to have with in French j'ai with another verb so that we create this perfect tense, which is le passé composé. So the ER will change in E with an accent. I will go with I, re will take you. This is a combination where we can look at manger, which is to eat. One would say, je mange, I ate. In English, we are not combining with anything, but in French, we must use auxiliary verbs. And finir, to finish, nous avons fini, we finished. Attendre, to wait. Ils ont attendu, they waited. Now let's go on to look at an instance where we are using to be, which is être. To be, the conjugation will be je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, on est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. That means I am up to they are. Then now when we are combining this one also, we are going to use the same formula that we used when we are dealing with avoir, where we look at er, which will change in E with an accent. An example that we do have, aller, which is to go, we are going to say, je suis allé. Maybe you're going to ask me a question why aller changes in this manner, but we'll look onto that when we come to differentiate le verbe régulier et le verbe irrégulier. The next example there, je suis sorti, I went out. Descendre, which means to go down. Il est descendu, he went down. Okay, let's go on to look at another example. Okay, now we are on the third part, which is the imperfect tense. The imperfect tense, how do we use the imperfect tense? The imperfect tense, we go back to look at le présent. Le présent, we look at the plural, where we are going to remove ONS. Par exemple, when I take je joue, tu joues, il joue, nous jouons. Nous jouons, OS will be taken out, and we are going to use the specific endings of imperfect tense. We can see them there, AS, IES, IES, IET, IONS, IEZ, AIENT. And now we are going to add to these verbs. Par exemple, le verbe jouer, j'ai joué, tu jouais, il jouait, elle jouait, nous jouons, vous jouez, il jouait. This means I was playing or I used to play. That's how we are conjugating these verbs. Finir, which means to finish. We're going to say je finissais, tu finissais, il finissait, nous finissions, vous finissiez, il finissait. I used to finish or I was finishing. Vendre, to sell, je vendais, tu vendais, il vendait, nous vendions, vous vendiez, il vendait. I was selling or I used to sell. That is the imperfect tense. Then we go to look at some few examples. J'ai joué means I was playing or I used to play, like I said. Ils jouaient, they were playing or they used to play. Je finissais, I was finishing or they used to finish. Or I used to finish. Je vendais, I was selling or I used to sell. Suivant means the next. We are looking at le futur proche. Le futur proche, this is the near future. Pour former le futur proche, vous prenez le verbe aller, which is to go, avec vous combinez avec l'infinitif, you combine, you add the infinitive, that's when you are going to have the near future. It's more like in English, when you take to go with another verb, you add it, and you are going to see as we go on with the explanation. Let's look at the present tense of aller, which is to go itself. Je vais, tu vas, il va, elle va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont. I go, you go, up to they go. And then when we are combining with the infinitives, we have got, par exemple, regarder. Je vais regarder, I'm going to watch. Je vais manger, you are going to eat. Il va faire, he's going to do. Nous allons avoir, we are going to have. Vous allez vivre, you are going to live. And the last one, ils vont aller, they are going to go. So let's look at the few examples. Je vais travailler en ville cet après-midi. I am going to work in town this afternoon. Les enfants vont rester à la maison aujourd'hui. The children will stay or remain at home today. Oui, nous avons voyagé ensemble. Yes, we traveled together to France. Nous allons voyager ensemble en France. We are going to travel together in France. C'est confirmé. Il va venir le jour de ton anniversaire. It is confirmed. He is going to come on your birthday. So, suivant, on continue. Ici, lorsqu'on vient de terminer avec le verbe, maintenant, il faut passer à un passage qu'on a écrit cette année, au mois de juin et mai, pour voir comment ces verbes sont utilisés. So, we are going to look at a paper that was written this year in June, May, June, and to see on how the verbs have been used. So you have to remember that a passage will be written. You'll find a passage in the exam. Remember that it will have different tenses. But as for this one, it has a lot of tenses that are in the present, and some of them are in the past tense, and a few of them that are in the future. So this will help you to make sure that you start answering the questions without making any mistakes. So remember, if the tense has been used in the past tense, you should also answer in the past tense. C'est très, très important puisque lorsque vous échangez le temps, alors on va vous corriger d'une façon mauvaise. Pas tout simplement d'une façon mauvaise, mais vous allez échouer parce que vous n'allez pas répondre selon l'ordre de ce qu'on a demandé ou soit selon les questions, ce que les questions vous demandent. Voilà, on peut aller sur l'autre partie, là où nous regardons aux questions. Voyons, regardez les questions, look at the questions, the way they have been formulated. Pourquoi le chien de Samuel s'appelle-t-il Blanco? Maybe what we could have done, what I can do right now, before I continue with the question, it is also important to make sure that I think we go through the passage quickly so that we may understand on how the tenses are being used. So let me read, je vais lire. Blanco, pour mon anniversaire, j'ai reçu beaucoup de cadeaux, mais mon cadeau préféré, c'est celui de mes parents, un magnifique petit chien. Comme il est blanc, je l'ai appelé Blanco. Il ne faut pas oublier qu'un animal domestique, c'est beaucoup de problèmes. Le matin, avant le collège, je promène Blanco pendant 20 minutes et je lui donne un bol d'eau. Il semble triste quand je pars pour l'école. J'ai Blanco depuis seulement un mois, mais il me connaît déjà. quand je reviens du collège, il est vraiment content de me voir et il saute partout. Cependant, avoir un chien n'a pas été facile. Mes parents avaient toujours refusé car il n'y a personne à la maison pendant la journée. Un problème sans solution. Eh bien, non, grâce à ma grand-mère qui a dit qu'elle pouvait s'occuper du chien pendant la journée. Comme elle est maintenant à la retraite, elle a davantage de temps libre. Elle nous a aussi expliqué que promener Blanco serait un excellent moyen de rester en forme. J'ai réalisé qu'un chien coûte plutôt cher. Mes parents payent bien sûr les visites chez les vétérinaires, mais ils insistent pour que j'achète la nourriture de Blanco. Mes économies disparaissent rapidement. Alors, pour ne pas dépenser tout mon argent de poche, je vais maintenant aider mes parents à la maison. Je leur ai dit que pour chaque petit job, ils devront acheter des boîtes de nourriture pour Blanco, Samuel. So we have read the passage, and now that we have read the passage and we can see how they have been used, and let's go now to continue with the questions that we have on the next part. So pourquoi le chien de Samuel s'appelle-t-il Blanco? Qu'est-ce qui est beau de travail? These questions, we have questions that are starting from A and they go up to K. La question dernière qui dit, qu'est-ce que Samuel va faire maintenant pour regarder plus de son argent de poche? So, to continue with this lesson, we can go on to look at the translation that I gave you in French here. I've put the translation for you so that you understand on how the questions are formulated, those that are in the present tense and those that are in the past tense. You can also see if there could be some of them that are in different tenses so that when you are answering the questions, you really know on how to answer without making any mistakes. Pourquoi le chien de Samuel s'appelle-t-il Blanco? Why Samuel's dog is named Blanco? So this time around, you should understand if the question is in the past or it is in the present. Qu'est-ce qui est beau de travail? Qu'est-ce qui est beaucoup de travail? What is a lot of work? Qu'est-ce que que fait Samuel pour son chien avant le collège? Donnez 2 détails. What does Samuel do for his job before college? Give 2 details. Depuis combien de temps Samuel a-t-il son chien? How long has Samuel has his dog? Et vous avez la question E. Qu'est-ce qui montre que Blanco est content de voir Samuel après le collège? What shows that Blanco is happy to see Samuel after college? Pourquoi les parents de Samuel ne voulaient-ils pas de chien? Why didn't Samuel's parents want a dog? Et les questions continuent. The question continue. So, l'autre question, pourquoi la grand-mère de Samuel a-t-elle plus de temps libre? Why does Samuel's grandmother have more free time? Qu'est-ce que la grand-mère de Samuel avait proposé de faire pour rester en forme? What did Samuel's grandmother suggest to do to stay fit? Et de quoi Samuel est-il vite rendu compte? What did Samuel soon find out? Plutôt, qu'est-ce que Samuel doit acheter pour Blanco? What should Samuel buy for Franco? Et la dernière question, which is the last question, qu'est-ce que Samuel va faire maintenant pour garder plus de son temps de poche, pour garder plus de son argent de poche? What will Samuel do now to keep more of his pocket money? So remember, all these questions that we have looked at, we have translated them in French, from French to English, and it is for us to make sure that our understanding of the tenses is clear even when we are answering, because there's no way a question is being asked to you in the present tense and you reply using the past tense. Ça veut dire, vous ne pouvez pas vraiment écrire sans pour autant comprendre le verbe. Lorsque le verbe est au présent et la question a été posée au présent, essayez de toutes les manières de répondre dans le temps présent. Si la question est posée à l'imparfait, vous répondez aussi à l'imparfait. Si la question est posée au passé composé, which is the perfect tense, répondez aussi en utilisant le passé composé. Et n'oublie pas que le passé composé utilise l'auxiliaire avoir, l'auxiliaire être pour composer, pour que nous puissions avoir le passé en anglais. C'est ce que tu dois vraiment te rappeler aujourd'hui, puisque c'est très, très important. Et puis, il y a aussi, lorsque nous parlons du futur, il faut comprendre très bien que le futur aussi, ici, nous avions vu le futur proche, là où on utilise le verbe aller et un autre verbe comment à l'infinitif. So all these verbs, you are supposed to know them because they are going to be really helpful to you when you are answering, when you are sitting for your exam, in writing, in speaking, in listening. They are also very important, even when you are reading. Because when you are reading, for instance, you are reading louder, you have to make sure that everything is understood so that the other person is not confused. Let's say, like I was reading here, if you had really paid attention, vous allez trouver que j'ai lisé et pour prononcer aussi les verbes qui sont dans le passé, je les prononçais comme ça, les verbes qui sont dans l'imparfait, je les prononçais comme l'imparfait, et les verbes aussi qui sont dans le présent, les prononçais aussi comme dans le présent. What am I trying to say? I'm saying that you have to make sure that you understand all these 4 types of verbs. And above all, also know that these are not all the tenses that we do have in French. We had just selected a few tenses so that we see on how we can, it can really help us, because we always talk about aujourd'hui, demain, hier. Aujourd'hui, demain, hier. That means yesterday, today, tomorrow. When we are using aujourd'hui, it sends aujourd'hui, it automatically sends us that we are talking about the present. When we say hier, we are talking about the past. And when we say demain, we are talking about le futur. That will be the summary of our today's lesson. Now, since we have looked at the questions, now let's go on to look at what will be the answers to the questions that we are reading. So we have got the answers already. Remember, with Cambridge, it will have a way of giving you answers and wanting you to write. So for now, we can go on a break. Ça veut dire une pause. Et puis, n'oubliez pas de vous laver les mains, wash your hands, respectez le protocole de COVID-19, observe COVID protocols, et puis aussi restez dans votre bulle. Stay in your bubble. Merci, à tout à l'heure. See you soon.
Hi everybody, my name is Kaunda from the Tda Academy, and I would like to welcome you all to the Tda Sport Challenge, where you stand a chance to win great prizes just by keeping fit. All you need to do is post videos of your daily challenge progress on our social media pages. You can even send some of your videos to our WhatsApp number. The challenges that we have for you are the push-up challenge and onto the push-up challenge, where you'll be required to increase the number of push-ups that you do on a daily basis. On day 1, we start with 5 and we increase by 5 every day. So day 1 is 5, day 2 10, day 3 15, and so on and so forth. The Around the World Challenge and the Keep You Happy Challenge. We are at the Tda Academy secondary campus. For this challenge, you'll need a ball, and the whole aim of the challenge is to juggle the ball in the air without it touching the ground, using any part of your body except for your hands. It should look something like this. Today you did 10, tomorrow try and beat it. Try and do 15, try and do 20, try and do as much as you can for the end of the challenge. Now our prizes include a one-term free admission, the Tda Academy Tech Series, 50 Pula airtime, as well as Tda merchandise. So come on everybody, let's get outside, let's get fit, and good luck to all those participating.
Listening to only the best internet radio station.
There are people out there, people worth saving.
They're not the kind of people worth saving.
A hunt to kill.
Soyez le bienvenu. You are welcome back, where we are now looking at ask questions to your teacher. Je vais toutefois parler sur les règles de COVID, respecter les protocoles de COVID-19, observe COVID-19 protocols, se laver les mains, wash your hands, porter un masque, mask yourself, et rester dans votre bulle. Stay in your bubble. Voilà, we have opened the floor now for questions. Please ask any possible question that you may have in relation to the tenses that we have done, in relation to the lesson that we have done today. Waiting for the questions. Merci, nous attendons vos questions, please. Envoyez vos questions. Voilà, les questions.
We have a question from one of the students on WhatsApp.
Yes, sir.
He sent a voice note, so let's hear.
Is it a must that we need to use all these tenses in our writing?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for that question. Is it a must that we need to use all these tenses in our writing? Yeah, remember in writing, we know that there are different tenses that are being used, definitely. But one thing that you should really understand, it depends on the situation at hand. For instance, if you are writing about something qui est dans le présent, that means you might use the present tense. If you're going to talk about le passé, you might use the past tense, but the situation will allow you, will definitely direct you what kind of a tense that you are going to use. Definitely, it's not all the tenses that you are going to use. It will depend with the situation at hand. Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Thank you so much for that question. Une autre question? Another question?
Yeah, we have another question.
Oui.
From Thabo and Muchudi.
Okay.
Are all four groups of verbs conjugated using the same format when utilizing the imperfect tense?
Are all the four groups?
Are all the four groups of verbs conjugated using the same format when utilizing the imperfect tense?
Yes, when utilizing the imperfect tense, they are using the same format because we look at, like I explained, we look at the removing of the verb, more especially in plural, the ONS we remove, and the imperfect tense has got its own way, its own endings. AIS, AIS, AIT, EONS, EZ, AIENT. Those are the ones that we use in order for us to create the imperfect tense, we cannot use another verb for the imperfect tense. Thank you so much for that question. Really appreciate. Merci beaucoup. Une autre question?
Yes, another question from Tsepo in Rabani. What is the difference between the French perfect and imperfect tense?
What is the difference between the French perfect and the imperfect tense? Le passé composé et l'imparfait. Quelle est la différence? We have to understand that when we are talking about le passé composé, here we are talking about something that took place in the past, but recently, something that happened in the recent time. But when we are talking about the imperfect tense, we can just understand it from the word itself, imperfect. It is not perfect. We are talking about things that took place maybe a number of years ago. Those are the things that we are trying to describe. For instance, I can't say like I'm describing a situation, something that happened yesterday, here, and I said yesterday, which was for instance a Thursday, and I say on Thursday I used to eat a lot. I used to eat a lot. Ça c'est vraiment difficile. On ne peut pas utiliser ça. We can't use that. We are going to use le passé composé, which is the recent past, something that just took place in the recent past. J'espère que j'ai répondu à votre question. I hope I answered your question. Thank you so much for that question. Very important. Une autre question, another one?
Hello, Tda Radio.
Hello?
My name is Kaho.
Kaho.
Hey.
Soyez le bienvenu. Welcome.
Is there any perfect, is there any other verb to combine with to form future progressive?
Now I say, I am going to sleep. Is there another verb that we are going to replace with I am going so that we talk about the near future? I think going has been specifically used to talk about this near future. Je vais travailler, I'm going to work. Je vais danser, I'm going to dance. So we use that verb in French. Merci beaucoup pour cette intéressante question. Une autre question. Thank you so much for that interesting question. Oui. Autre question?
We don't have any question from our comment section, but in our WhatsApp group, another question came in.
Oui.
It is Tabang from Uchudi.
Thank you, Tabang.
What happened during French-speaking exams if I have used a wrong tense, but I know that I'm trying to communicate? Will I be penalized?
Will I be penalized if I've used a wrong tense in the French-speaking exam, right?
Yes,
I think definitely, first of all, let me look at your question. If I've used a wrong tense, you know that you have used a wrong tense. Alors, le temps vraiment, tu n'as pas utilisé un bon temps. You have not used a correct tense. Definitely, you will be penalized because the question will be asking you to talk about the present and you go on to talk about the future. That means you are not trying to be together with, for instance, the examiner. You are not reading between the lines to really know what you are talking about. Yes, you can pass the message, but the tenses are wrong. You'll be penalized. So please, vous serez vraiment pénalisé pour utiliser un temps qui est vraiment qui n'est pas approprié. C'est bien d'utiliser un temps qui est approprié. Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Thank you so much for that question. Une autre question? Another question? Nous sommes là, nous vous attendons. Nous sommes sur Télé Radio. Nous vous attendons. Vraiment, envoyez vos questions ici. Et n'oubliez pas de nous envoyer les messages. Don't forget to send us the messages. Nous utilisons le numéro de contact 2 plus 6 7 7 5 3 4 1 3 4 7. En anglais, we have 2 plus 2 6 7 7 5 3 4 1 3 4 7. Nous vous attendons avec vos questions. We are waiting for your question. Merci beaucoup.
Yes, sir. You have a question? A voice note in WhatsApp?
Oui.
I have a question here. How can the tenses affect me from getting a higher mark during listening exam?
How can the...
Let's play this again.
Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Tebogo. I have a question here.
Thank you,
How can the
Tebogo.
tenses affect me from getting a higher mark during listening exam?
Oh, during listening exams, how can the tense really affect you from getting a higher mark? During listening exam, we should know that in most of the cases, we are not really penalized in terms of tenses unless you have used the tense where you have not written it correctly and it goes on to change the meaning of what has been written. What we are trying to say, maybe let me just write something on the board so that you really understand what I'm talking about. Let me take, for instance, le verbe jouer that we are just from saying. And in your listening, they were talking about j'ai joué. J'ai joué, which means I played, because this is the perfect tense that we are talking about. I played. And in your writing, you have not written it correctly like this, and you go on, for instance, to say joua, something like this. Joua, it's not connecting, it's not even telling us what you are trying to write. In this sense, you'll be penalized because the answer is not close to your writing is not close to what is needed. Now, if for instance you had written something like this, je joue, this one is closer to the answer, and definitely you won't be penalized, because it is important to remember that in listening, most of the tenses, they go on to look at the answers that you are bringing closer to what is really needed. I hope I've answered your question. Merci beaucoup. Une autre question? Une autre question? Nous attendons une autre question. Vous êtes ici sur Télé Radio. Nous vous attendons.
We have a question from our viewers on Facebook.
Yes, please.
It's Sadilami Mukoba. Is there any short form in terms of verbs in French like we have in English language?
Is there any short form in French?
Yeah, in terms of verbs.
In terms of verbs, like we do have in English. If I get you correctly, I think you are getting it as in forms of maybe contractions that we do have in English, like I do not, and you say I don't, or it is, and you say it's. Yeah. So I think that's how the question is. What I want to say, I think in French we don't have such short forms. We don't have. Nous n'avons pas de formes courtes pour utiliser en français, mais néanmoins, but we can still find them being used, more especially when people are speaking. So more especially the natives, there will be a situation where there will be like swallowing the words, and you may think as if it is a short form that has been used. Yes, in speaking it will be there in French, but when it comes to writing, it will be written in full, not like the way it is in English. I think let's also get this example where we have like this word or this short sentence. Il n'y a pas. Il n'y a pas. Il n'y a pas simply means there isn't. But when some people, even the natives, are speaking, when they are pronouncing, they don't say like the way we do, il n'y a pas. They'll use I, ya. Il n'y a pas, meaning there isn't. With us, we will be saying il n'y a pas, but with them, they say il n'y a pas, il n'y a pas. Il n'y a pas, that means there isn't. Yes, it can be understood dans le français parlé, in the French spoken, mais dans le français écrit, nous devons vraiment écrire dans la correcte forme. Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Thank you so much for that question.
Another question from Facebook follower, Punapilani. What should I try to master for my French speaking, listening, and main paper? What should I try to master for my French speaking, listening, and main paper?
Okay, what you need to master for your French speaking and the French main paper. Okay, first of all, I should tell you that the French speaking, it is itself the main paper, because it carries a lot of marks. So what you need to do is first of all to start by practicing and listening to French. Mostly what normally make a student not to get a lot of points, there's this phobia, you have just the fear you don't practice the French language. You should go on to practice with your French teacher. You should go on to practice with your friends. You should go on to listen to different French audios. And remember, nowadays we have technology at just our touch of the button. So you can still make it by listening to other people, and also to check a lot with your French teacher. It can really help you to improve your French speaking. Alors, en français, s'il vous plaît, il faut vraiment pratiquer la langue, puisque le français, c'est pratique. Quand vous n'avez pas de pratique, ça devient un peu difficile. C'est comme moi aussi, je fais beaucoup de pratiques. I did also a lot of practices. Et c'est comme ça, on essaie un peu de parler. C'est comme ça que tu vas vraiment maximiser dans les épreuves de français. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much for that question.
Another question from WhatsApp.
Oui, yes.
Hi, Mr. K and
Hi.
radio team.
Salut, merci.
This is a student from Tda. Are all tenses found in English language also found in French?
Are all tenses
Found in English language found in French?
Can I say it's not that all the tenses are really found. Those are found in French also can be found in English. There are some of them you won't really have them. You won't find them. Let's take for instance, prenons un exemple du verbe, d'un verbe là où on utilise le présent. In French, in English, we are using the present tense, and we also use the present continuous. It is really difficult for you to find the present continuous in French, but in English you will have it. Let me also take this opportunity maybe to write something on the board so that you really know what I'm trying to say. When I write je parle or je chante, je chante. In French, je chante, oui. Yeah. In French, je chante. Mais quand on va en anglais, when we go to English, we are going to say I sing like this. I sing means je chante. And we can still translate it in English using what is known as the present continuous, where we are using I am. And I am singing, je chante, I sing, or I am singing. That's how we normally do it. So there could be a lot of verbs that you are going to use. And remember, in French, we only have one form of je. Je chante or je parle. Je parle, I speak, like right now. Je parle, I speak, or I am speaking. That's how we translate in words in French. But in English, it will be having double meanings. But nevertheless, we have also to remember that there are some expressions that are used to really talk about that action that is taking place. These are the expressions like je suis en train de. So what I'm doing like right now. So there will be an expression that will be used to really talk about the present continuous. Look at this. Par exemple, je suis en train de manger. So this is an action that is taking place right now in the present tense. Je suis en train de manger. I am eating right now because of right now, and it can be used in such a way as a present continuous. But to really say that there's a specific format of talking about another form, it will be a little bit tricky. We do not have. Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Thank you so much for that question. We are still waiting for more questions. Please don't forget to contact us on the number +2677 5341 347. Ça veut dire contactez-nous et envoyez les questions, envoyez vos messages sur le numéro plus 2 6 7 7 5 3 4 1 3 4 7. Merci, on est là sur Télé Radio. Question.
They're not per Queen's Club on Tuesday. And those were our sports update. Thank you very much.
All right. Do you know what FIFA stands for?
I don't. I'm so disappointed.
Even the bell is disappointed.
Okay.
We are leaving.
Welcome to your future.
You can't live without. This is
There are people out there, people worth saving.
They're not the kind of people worth saving.
A hunt to kill.
I am an in-school participant at Stepping Stones.
Great.
I was doing a scholarship program.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm actually doing my Form 3.
Where?
At Itudeng CJSS.
Wow, you should have come to the TDA. The Dow Academy is go radio, it's go building computer, and it's go mechanics program. We do coding, man. We do like the Walt Disney stuff, like we draw anime, graphic novels. You know about that?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Harvard of Muchu.
It's the Harvard of Machuda, God! I'm telling you, oh, bad.
We are leaving.
Stations you can't live without. This is your radio. Only the best internet radio station in the world.
Soyez le bienvenu. You are welcome. Where we are continuing with our program, and we are about to really, we are just almost at the end. And thank you for all those who have sent us the messages, who have sent us important questions that have been really wonderful in order for you to know what you really need to do in the exam. It's très important. It is very, very important. And so we are looking at our recap here. We are going to look at a few points that you really need to remember, more especially when you go to slide number 2. Number 2, where we are talking about our objectives. Very, very important. We are saying to understand or use a variety of tenses in writing, identify the tenses in passages, how you can identify them, then use correct tenses in asking questions and speaking. Also, to identify tenses used in listening. So another point that we are going to look at, it is how do we use the present tense that is on slide number 4. So remember, on slide number 4, we have the examples there for the present tense, and you can also look at on slide number 3, we have examples of the present tense. How do you use the present tense? Look at the endings, and once you study the endings, as, ons, you start those, definitely the present does not become a thorn in the flesh to you. Then we're going to look at slide number 8. I think on slide number 8, we are going to talk about the perfect tense, and it combines together with slide number 7 and also number 5. So those slides, they are really asking you to look at the two auxiliary verbs to make the passé composé, which is the past tense. Auxiliary verb to have and to be. How do you use that? Understand those and master them with the past tense of the other verb, and definitely you'll be done. Then when we look at the other slide, which is slide number 9, the imperfect, here also you have just to understand their endings, les terminaisons, IES, 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 and go to look at the present of any verb which is finishing in the plural form with ONS, and start replacing that as in the way we have done in the examples, and you add that, j'ai joué, tu joué, and you are done. You will have your imperfect tense. Then the other point will be us looking at le futur proche, the near future. Le futur proche, where we are using the verb aller, je vais with another verb. So I'm going with another verb in the infinitive. To go or to dance with another verb, we are using aller, and you'll make it, and you'll have your future, your futur proche. And in doing so, definitely you make sure that you have understood, and in the exam, you'll be able to answer a lot of questions. You'll be able to write French. You'll be able to listen to what is very, very important. That's our summary in terms of what we have done today. And can I say, it is also very important that you take into consideration of some of the few questions that can come. And this one, to me, it was some kind of a bonus that I'd put for you. You can see it on slide number 19, where we're talking about use questions. So because questions will come with the verbs. So you have got different questions here, and these are the most questions that you are going to find in your French writing, listening, speaking, everything they will be there. Qui, quoi, quand, pourquoi, comment, combien. You have got the translation for you. It has already been put down there. I cannot translate for you, but I can also read for you so that you practice as well. So, qui, que, quand, où, pourquoi, comment, combien, quelle heure. Et vous avez aussi combien de temps, which means how long. So this is what we have done. I hope this lesson has been really interesting to you, and I hope that you are going to give us a very good result, so that when we go in the exams, you don't have to be worried. You have to walk into the exam being okay, with self-confidence that I'm going to make it, I'm going to pass, because I learned from the Tda Academy with Mr. Kaunda, teaching le français. C'est bien, nous vous attendons. That's what we need to do. And in the end, you're going to give us good results. Maintenant, nous pouvons aussi regarder quoi? The question aussi, like I said, there are some of the answers like who are given in this exam that was written this year. It is important to understand that. That is on slide number 18. It is important to understand that it's not all the time that they are going to ask you to phrase the answers according to what they want. But when you look at the question, look at the keywords and look at the tense that is being used in order for you to answer. No wonder we have these short answers in terms of our exams. So we have come to the end of our lesson today, French. And remember, your presenter was Monsieur Kaunda, le professeur de français at the Tda Academy. And remember all the time to follow the COVID protocols, respecter les protocoles de COVID-19, se laver les mains, wash your hands, porter un masque, mask yourself, restez dans votre bulle, stay in your bubble. Ah, voilà, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. À la prochaine. Bisous, bisous. Merci. Au revoir.
The best songs on the radio. This is my only favorite station.